All right, let's jump right into a really tough question. It's a choice that probably hits close to home for a lot of us. Picture this. You can have the house of your dreams, but it'll leave you with absolutely no cash. Or you can let go of that house and actually have a secure financial future. What would you do?
Now, this isn't just some thought experiment. This is a real story about a 58-year-old man in Taiwan. He was so close to retirement, but a couple of bad moves put him right on the edge of a cliff. He had to make an impossible choice, one that would decide the fate of his entire retirement.
So, you have to be asking, how on earth did he end up here? I mean, his story starts with what looked like a really solid plan. He had a dream of security, built on assets he thought were totally safe. But as we're about to see, one single moment of panic can unravel decades of careful work. For 10 years, everything was going according to plan. He had 2 properties overseas, his future looked set. But then, life happens. A divorce completely upended his world, leaving him feeling adrift and without a home. And in that emotional chaos, he made a decision driven by panic. He sold one of the properties to get cash, but here's the critical mistake. He signed for a new house before that money ever hit his bank account. And that's when it all started to go wrong. It's so easy to look at this and say, well, the problem was that panic purchase. But the expert in this case argues that the real issue, the root of this whole crisis, started much, much earlier. It actually began the moment he decided to invest in property overseas in the first place.
And this quote right here gets to the heart of it. It's a huge wake-up call. For anyone who thinks buying property in another country is a surefire way to get rich, think again. The expert is telling us it's not an investment, it's a bet. And you're betting against the house.
So what makes it such a gamble? Well, first off, you're dealing with crazy volatility. Foreign property markets can just tank without warning. Then there's the liquidity trap, and this is exactly what happened to our guy. You might have $1 million asset on paper, but turning that paper into actual cash when you need it? Good luck. It can take months, even years. Then you've got currency risk, where a change in the exchange rate can wipe out your profit overnight. And on top of all that, you're trying to navigate a maze of foreign laws and bureaucracy from thousands of miles away. It's a nightmare.
So yeah, it really all boils down to one word: control. When you invest overseas, you're pretty much giving up control. You're at the mercy of a foreign market, foreign laws, and currency swings you can't predict. That's not investing. That's just rolling the dice.
Okay, so that's how he got into this mess. Let's get back to the present day. He's standing at a crossroads and he's got 3 possible paths to take. And let's be clear, every single one of them involves pain, but only one of them actually leads to a real future. Here are his options laid out. Path 1, he can push through, borrow a ton of money to complete the purchase, but he'd be saddled with massive debt and stress, and that house would feel more like a prison than a home. Path 2, he can delay and gamble. Basically, he can default every single day, paying penalties, hoping his money arrives in time. That's just pure anxiety, and it could wipe him out completely. Then there's path 3. This is the hardest one emotionally. Just cut your losses. Take the hit. It's a painful pill to swallow for sure, but it's the only path that actually saves his future. Faced with these choices, the expert's advice was crystal clear. There was no debate. The only logical, sane move is to take the hit now. It stings, no doubt about it, but it stops the bleeding. It lets him finally move on from a place of stability, not sheer desperation. Okay, so choosing the right path is the first step. But what's next? This isn't just about damage control. It's about building something new from the ashes. So let's walk through the expert's 4-step plan for a complete financial comeback. This recovery plan is really all about a shift in mindset. First, you have to rip off the Band-Aid, accept the loss, end the uncertainty, and move on. Then you take the money you have left, your core capital, and you put it to work for the long term. Now, what about that other overseas property? You have to start thinking of it as a lottery ticket, a bonus if it comes through, but not part of the plan. And finally, you keep your options open. The dream of owning a home isn't dead, it's just on hold until you're back on solid financial ground. And this number right here, this is the whole point. It's so easy to fixate on the $900,000 that was lost, but the expert completely reframes it. That 5.1 million TWD he saves, that isn't just what's left over. That's the brand new, powerful foundation for the rest of his life. So, what do you do with this new foundation? The plan is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You invest it in something like a US tech index fund. Think of it like buying a tiny slice of all the biggest tech companies at once.
It's a proven long-term strategy that lets your money grow as the economy grows. And by adding to it regularly, bit by bit, you start building a snowball of wealth that can carry you through retirement. You know, this whole crisis really forces us to ask a much bigger question, one that we should all be thinking about. It's time to zoom out and ask ourselves, what does security in retirement really mean? What does it actually look like?
You've really got two different philosophies here. On one side, there's the old idea that owning a house equals security. But as we've just seen, that can be a total illusion. A physical asset can turn into a huge burden that just ties you down. But on the other side, you have the power of cash flow. And this isn't just about having money. It's about having real flexibility. It's about dignity and choice. Cash flow is an income source that gives you genuine freedom.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The prestige of owning a home doesn't pay the electricity bill. A house that you own can feel like a castle, but if you have zero cash, it's actually a prison. What you really need is the financial power to live your life with dignity, without that constant nagging worry. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question. As you plan for your own future, really think about the choices you're making. Ask yourself, are you building a true shelter, one that gives you freedom and options? Or, without even realizing it, are you actually building yourself a beautiful prison?